New York holds the nuclear weapon on the Epstein issue. And the reason why that is because the political power structure within New York was protecting Epstein. And it deals specifically with the cases around Epstein that were in Manhattan, which, by the way, again, Manhattan was where Katie Johnson said that she was AR'd by Trump and bound in parties, because she was talking about parties that were happening, orgies actually, that she describes it as. The most important email that is there that starts to cover the area that you need to search with the Epstein emails is to search for Manhattan. This is one of the emails that you will cover, and the link to this email is in the description. DA's office went easy on sex offender Epstein by Rebecca Rosenberg and Daniel Fears, January 7th, 2015. Jeffrey Epstein may be a convicted pedophile, accused sex slave master. But that didn't stop him from getting some tender loving treatment from the Manhattan DA's office. Prosecutors went to bat for the billionaire pervert at a 2011 legal hearing, asking for the judge to cut the filthy rich felon a break on the severity of the sexual offender's status, according to court documents. ADA Jennifer Gaffney supported a request by Epstein, who allegedly peddled $15,000 a night teen sex slaves to rich men like Britain Prince Andrew. $15,000 a night. So when you're talking about what was happening with Katie Johnson, 15 grand to do what Katie talks about. So let's keep going. Okay, $15 sex slaves to rich men like Prince Andrew. Okay. That only be listed as a level 1 pervert during a hearing in Manhattan Supreme Court, according to legal transcripts. The sicko investment manager has just finished serving 13 months and an 18-month sentence in Florida for soliciting minors girls for prostitution. The hearing was to determine what kind of offender status he would have in New York, where he kept a vacation home. This is important. This is super important, because this will go in that Katie Johnson was not alone. Because Katie Johnson did describe that there were orgies, many girls. So let me just keep going. The city ADA agreed that since there was only an indictment for one victim, Epstein shouldn't have to register as a level 3, which would require he travel to New York every 90 days and check in with cops. Judge Ruth Pikelvarsky was flabbergasted. She couldn't understand why the DA would want to go easy on Epstein after the New York state. You understand that? The district attorney in Manhattan, where the orgies and the sexual assault of Katie Johnson took place. This email goes into even more. It lists like huge names, like we're talking like Bill Clinton, we're talking about Hollywood actors, and all of this stuff is like all over this stuff. And Donald Trump is obviously in the center of all of this as well. It goes into even Ken Starr, the attorney that pursued Bill Clinton and others. So the board of examiners, sexual offenders recommendation, the level 3 status, because there was more than just one victim for which he pled guilty. I have to tell you, I am a little overwhelmed because I have never seen the prosecutor's office do anything like this. The judge said at the hearing, despite the DA's argument, Pawlowski slapped Epstein with a level 3 status, which was held on appeal. The strong evidence that the offenders against other victims did occur. Otherwise, any interference to be drawn from the manner in which the case was prosecuted in Florida, the New York Court of Appeals said in its ruling. So you get this. Manhattan DAs, in other words, the Manhattan power structure, like as I've said, the biggest weapon that Trump fears, and all of this stuff fears, is New York. Because New York is sitting on the place where the greatest amount of attention was given. Because that's where New York is walking money. It has Wall Street. It is just piles of cash. And doing an operation just simply in Miami Beach or whatever, that's tiny. It's not a whole lot. There's wealth down there, but it's nothing like New York. It is nothing like Manhattan Beach. It's nothing like Manhattan. It is absolutely nothing like Manhattan. So he's operating there, renting these girls out at $15,000 a night. But now let's go into when the girls started to sue. In the years that followed, several of the victims obtained lawyers and filed civil lawsuits against Epstein. So we're talking about more than girls, more than just Katie Johnson. About 24 lawsuits were filed starting in 2008. The earlier cases were particularly brutal for his victims. The court records show that the girls faced fierce grilling from another pack of Epstein civil attorneys who questioned them about their boyfriends, drinking, drug use, social media posts, their parents, and even their medical histories. One girl was asked about her abortions. Don't forget, Donald Trump with Katie Johnson, when Katie Johnson was worried about her getting pregnant, Trump just threw her a bunch of cash and said, "You'll get an abortion." So one girl was asked about her abortions, and parents who were Catholic and knew nothing about the abortions were also deposed and questioned. Lozio said that the questions from Epstein's civil lawyers were so intimate that she became paranoid that the people were following her. Because remember, Donald Trump threatened to kill, and Epstein told the 13-year-old Katie Johnson, "We're going to kill you and your entire family if you talk." So there was a lot of paranoia. There's a lot of fear when you're a 13-year-old girl and you're being sexually assaulted. Just ask any 13-year-old survivor of sexual abuse by friends or family or anything about what goes on in their head. Okay, his lawyers were just in my life inside and out. They asked if I had a baby, if I had an abortion. Did you sleep with 30 different guys? And did you think that played a part? I said, "You're going to come at me like that when you represent a guy who's doing this to hundreds of girls. How do you sleep at night?" Now, this is between Brooklyn and Palm Beach. All right? Manhattan is where it is all at. I mean, this is also talking about Brooklyn, maybe. So there are situations in which Trump is just done. But the real weapon will be in Manhattan. And that is probably where Donald Trump is terrified of, because probably sitting inside of the Epstein files that the Department of Justice has is what happened in Manhattan, which is where Katie Johnson was assaulted. But it wasn't just Katie Johnson. It was many. And it wasn't just Katie Johnson who was suing. It was all these other girls. And every time they sued, they were attacked. They were attacked and intimidated by Epstein's lawyers because these girls were already in a fractured state trying to defend what occurred to them when they were 13 years old. New York needs to sing. New York, if you're getting this, you need to walk down to the DA's office, and the biggest fucking, if you're wanting to deal with like No Kings or whatever, and you want to get this information out, go down to the DA's office for Manhattan and demand that those files be turned over. Hopefully, the new New York mayor will release these. Am I a person who supports Mandani as being a socialist? No. I support him because he is not connected to the power structure of New York. The power structure of New York that was actively protecting Jeffrey Epstein and what him and the power structure was doing to these girls. That is gone. The biggest gift that Mandani can do is to turn that over, is to use his power as mayor to go over to the Manhattan DA's office and tell them to turn over everything. Everything that they have about what happened. Any calls, any things that were going on, because clearly, according to at least this email, that there was protection that Epstein was getting from Manhattan, and it must end. Links to this article is below, and some of the texts and that stuff will also be in the description of this video. Please, let's get justice to these girls, because when they came out, they were alone, fighting alone, terrified of people who threatened them, terrified about going up against real power that used and abused them and terrified them. And those people are going to do whatever is required to defend themselves. And we have to stand up. We have to tell all of these girls that I don't care who it was who victimized you. I don't care what party they're from. I don't care. If they hurt you, they're coming through us, because we will defend you to our last breath. Like, share, subscribe.